Alright, hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of Lights, Camera, Life. It's very special for two reasons. First of all, this is the first YouTube video I am uploading to my channel. So that's very special. And also, this is the video of my black belt test, which I passed. I was in taekwondo from 1998 to 2003, and I got to the belt right before the black belts, and my parents had to pay for braces, so they had to pull me out, which was a little frustrating, but whatever. And then finally, a few years ago, I was able to make enough money to come back, but because it had been like 15 years, I had to start over again at the white belt. So that was a little disappointing, but it had been over a decade, so it couldn't be helped. You know, it's okay. And so this is finally, almost 25 years since the first time I started karate, and I passed my black belt test. I will not have the black belt just yet because our new instructor came from the school in South Korea. See, the instructor that I had 20 years ago, and the one that I started with when I came back was Master Prinkey. Hi, Master Prinkey. He retired about a year ago, and Master Park came in with his school and took over ours. And so it was a little difficult. You know, he did things much more differently. It's like Master Prinkey learned here in America and became a master in America, and Master Park learned in the official taekwondo school in South Korea. And so he he's very precise with technique wise, and has a lot more stuff that we didn't learn under Master Prinkey. It's but it worked out in the end, and I finally got there, and I'm so excited. So here we go. Okay, now this is the beginning of the test. It starts the same way that the beginning of class does. A couple things I'll need to tell you guys about that you're going to see in this is that first of all, whenever an instructor or a master, or any student really, hands something to another student or instructor or master, you bow when it's handed to you. They bow to you and you bow back. Whenever you have to fix any part of your uniform, fixing a little thing or retying, especially retying the belt, you turn away. It's a sign of respect that you're not facing the instructor and especially the master while you're fixing your uniform. Sign of respect. Also, since all the belts don't know everything, it's like the lower belts only know so much of the techniques, and then of course you got the black belts that know a lot of stuff. Like how it happens in Master Park's classes is that we do everything, you get to a certain point, and then that belt doesn't know anything else, so they sit down. And then everyone else continues. The next belts have reached the end of their knowledge level, so they sit down. So on and so forth until you reach the end of the knowledge level of the highest belt. This is where we do warm-ups. This is something else that differed with between Master Prinkey and Master Park. Master Prinkey, you show up like 15 minutes before class and you do kind of your own warm-ups. And the test, not only because we did less than Master Park does, but because we had fewer students. Master Prinkey's belt testings would last 15 at the earliest 10 minutes. Master Park almost treats it as if it's a class. You do warm-ups and then you do a little bit of cardio, and then it's into the testing. Another thing that I kind of need to explain for my own case, I got bad hips. I don't know why, but I have limited range of motion. I think it might be because between the two time periods that I was doing karate, I was an introverted, sedentary bookworm. So I didn't do very much active stuff. It's let me give you a piece of advice. Do not ever become sedentary. Learn from my mistake. Keep active. Because when I try to do certain kicks where it involves me lifting my leg up to the side and then, like, you know, moving it, trying to kick it, it's like a knife going straight through the ball of my hip. It hurts so much. But you'll notice, like, there are a couple kicks, like a hook kick, and sometimes they're otherwise known as crescent kicks, where the leg is sweeping up, back and forth. My leg doesn't go as high. It's supposed to go up high enough to hit the head, and my hips can't do that without really hurting. So I don't have to go. I go as high as I can on that. This next bit is we just do a little bit of punching before we get into the actual techniques that we're testing on. One thing is the stance that you're going to see us doing is called a horse stance, and that's standard for most of the hand techniques we're going to do later, but also for the punching. But another thing you notice, he'll use the term parot, and basically that means, you know, I'm not sure of the exact translation, but it's something about how, you know, okay, you're finished, come back to start, and it looks like this. And it comes to a stop. Although it's a little lower, but you can't see that on the camera, so you come to a stop, and that's parot. That's what that means. It's like you're finished, so go ahead and come back to attention, kind of. Next is the hand techniques. Now this is one thing we did not learn under Master Prinkey. It was something new that all the Master Prinkey students had to pick up when they started with Master Park. You kind of learn 10 at a time, but it's not as if you learn like, you know, there's 100 in total, but it's not like you learn a set of 10 for each and every belt, because you learn through 90 of them to get to your black belt test, and then when you become a black belt, you learn the last 10. Now do your best one, make a good gap, and then good, you know, confidence. Technique. 10, 2, Now we do the kicking techniques. These ones, I don't know if you can see it or not. I didn't notice it when I was watching the videos myself, but these ones, especially when you're doing them during testing where it's just one right after the other and you're just going through them, you get winded. You get very winded and tired. But this next bit is the forms. Now you learn one form for each belt as you go. This was something that was a bit difficult, for me at least, transitioning from Master Prinkey to Master Park, because in Master Prinkey's school we were actually one form ahead of everyone else, because they have an extra form at the beginning that we did not. And so the form we did for the yellow belt was the form that they were doing for their yellow stripe belt. The form we did for the yellow stripe belt was the form they did for the green belt. And so we also knew the names of them by the official name of it, like taegook chilejong, which under Master Park we used for yellow belt. They used taegook chilejong for the next belt. And we also knew the forms by, okay, do the yellow belt form, do the blue belt form. Master Park tends to call them by their numbers. You know, they say, okay, we're going to do number 4, which is, you know, taegook form number 4. Taegook sajang. See the difficulty I have there? I don't know them by the numbers. I know them by the names and the color of the belts, which I now have to go by the names, since the color of the belts doesn't match up anymore. Another thing you have to know about the forms is you'll see how on a couple of them we come to a stop at the end and we just stay there frozen. That's the proper thing to do. When you come to the end of the form, you hold that last position until he says parole. Then you can turn back around or, you know, come to attention again. Alright, one other term that you'll need to know is choon-bee. It's usually when we're about to do forms. You know, he says cheri-yut, you come to attention. He says choon-bee, that's the ready stance. For those of you that don't know, the belt ranking system is you have the white belt, yellow stripe belt, green stripe belt, blue stripe belt, red stripe belt, and then under Master Prinkey you went straight to either recommended black or also known as Cho Dan Bo. With Master Park, right after the red stripe belt, we then get brown, and then brown stripe, and then the Cho Dan Bo. So that's what that ranking is. This first form we do is the taegook yukjang. It was the blue stripe belt under Master Prinkey, now it's the red belt form. This next one is taegook chilejong. It was the red belt form with Master Prinkey. Master Park, it's the red stripe belt. The next one is taegook paljong. It's, again, under Master Prinkey it was the red stripe belt form. Under Master Park it's the brown belt form. Then this next one we do, he actually went back into one of the lower ranks and did taegook sajong. That, again, Master Prinkey, it was the green stripe form. Under Master Park, it's the blue belt form. Alright, these next few things are all, I think, collectively known as self-defense techniques, but this first group of 5 is the falling techniques. You'll learn how to take a fall so that it doesn't hurt. And you'll notice later for the one where we start standing up and then we roll forward, how I take the comb out. You gotta take that comb out. I made the mistake more than once of leaving that comb in when doing that roll thing, and it sticks out just enough that no matter how much I tuck my head in towards my chest, that comb still hits the floor and pushes it into my skull, and it hurts. These next 5 are escaping techniques. It's all about how when someone grabs your wrist, how you can get your wrist out of their grip. Now, 2 important things about this one is that it all depends on which direction their hand is placed on your hand. And it all depends on where their fingers meet their thumb, because that's the weak point, right? See, and you have to turn your arm so that this thin part or this thin part is right where those fingers meet. Like, cause you try to get your arm out with it face the thick part of your arm, face sideways. Nothing's happening, right? But if I turn it, look at that! Look at that, it came out. Right, these next 10 are striking techniques. We do 5 where the person's punching with their right, so their punch is coming at your left. So you step to the right and you grab their fist and then do whatever the maneuver is. The second 5 are where they're punching with the other hand, so it's coming at your right, and you step to the left, you grab, and you do your punch. In that second set, you'll notice us doing this weird thing. That's where we're grabbing it, but then we switch it and we lift that arm up. So now they're all exposed because they're standing there like this, and you lift their arm up. Now they got all this spot you can hit them in. So that's what that is. We grab it, we switch hands, and we lift it. So now we can hit them anywhere we want. These next 5, which are technically 6, are the kicking techniques. You know, we did a dodge to the right, a dodge to the left, and now these ones are like dodging backwards. Like, and you'll notice after the first 2, we do that in-out kick where our leg swings around, and then we do another kick. That's because the punch is coming, and the kick knocks it out of the way. So now their body is wide open, and you can now kick them wherever you want. Alright, this next part is the sparring. It's something else that is very different from Master Prinkey's testing. We did something called Sambo, which I really enjoyed and I really miss. But this is sparring, where he gives you a partner and you spar. You don't get any kind of protective gear though, so the goal isn't to actually like hit them, it's to act as if you're going to hit them, like get the kick close but don't actually hit them. And these ones I'm not very good at because I can't think on my feet at all. It's like you give me time and I can think up some strategy or something to say or whatever, but in the heat of the moment I can't think stuff up. See, this right here, I rehearsed this video so many times before actually filming it because I can't think on my feet. And so at the beginning he's basically telling us, he's like, okay, I'm going to see your footwork, and that's, you know, as you move away or forward or switch. It's like he's watching your feet to make sure your stance is correct. He's watching how you're blocking the kicks, and then he's also watching the actual kicks you attack with. Okay, now this is where we're actually breaking the board techniques, and there's a reason why this is saved for last, is because maybe about 30% of the time you get hurt. Well, I would say half the time you get hurt. It's just that only 30% of the time is it like painful enough that it prevents you from doing anything else in the test, which is why we save it for last. Like most of the time all you do is get like a few scrapes from like your foot or your hand going through the broken edges of the boards, and it scrapes and you get a little blood. That's happened more than once. Me, of course, I bruise easily, so I always have bruises when I do the board breaking. But this first part is the intro. This is also differs from Master Prinkey. With Master Park, when you do your board breaking, you introduce yourself, you say your name, your age, the current belt rank that you are at, and the belt rank you are testing for.
Hello, sir. My name is Courtney Morrow, sir. I am currently 32 years old, sir. I'm currently a Cho Dan Bo belt, sir, and I am taking for my first degree black belt, sir.
For the black belt technique, we do 3 kicks, and then we do it's called a hammer fist, through 3 boards, which are almost an inch thick each. And the 3 kicks you're allowed to choose from about, I think, 4 or 5 different kicks. I chose a side kick, a hook kick, and a tornado. I wasn't really worried about getting injured with the side kick and or not the hook kick, the back kick. The second kick was the back kick I chose. And those ones hit with the heel, so I wasn't really worried about getting hurt, but the tornado kick you hit with the top of your foot. And I knew that one was going to hurt. You'll notice in the tornado kick, the second one I do, where I collapsed to the floor, that one did a lot of damage. Within like, I think 5 minutes, I looked down at my foot and there's this huge blue blood blister on the top. I broke something bad in there, and by the end of the night it had spread out to my whole foot. Half my foot was blue. In fact, a week later and half my foot is still a little bit blue. So that one hurt, and it forced me to have to give up that kick. And I said, well, why don't you do a hook kick? The hook kick was the one kick I didn't want to do because my hips aren't good with the hook kick. It was going to hurt me a lot, but there was no way I was going to do the tornado kick again because my foot hurt too much. So you'll notice the first hook kick that I do, I hit it with my upper leg because I was too close. That left a bruise and a lump. The second one I did, where I hit it kind of hard, that bruised my heel. It's still bruised. And the third one, you'll see me all of a sudden grab my hip. The way my legs were positioned or the way I moved them wrenched my hip really bad, and I had to walk that off for a little bit there. Then there was the hammer fist. The first one didn't break anything, so they brought out these little pieces of wood to separate them to make it easier to break, 3 of them. The second one, I broke the top board. The third one, I broke the next board, and you could see I collapsed. I was in tears. it hurt. It hurt. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little bit of a lump right there, and the swelling is causing the nerve in one of my fingers to get pinched, so it keeps going numb. That's fun. The fourth time, I was like, this hand is hurting too much. I'm doing this one. But of course, I'm right-handed, and so this hand didn't barely do anything. It didn't make it through it. So finally, the fifth time, I've had it at this point. I turned into Kurt Russell on Tombstone. I'm just staring down at this thing, and I'm going, I don't care. If I break my hand doing this, I am taking you with me!
Yes. And speed, you have two things. One, speed, velocity, and then one is the power, your weight. So you got to use your weight and then fast speed too at the same time. That way you can have an effective, gripping. Right. Good. That's the speed too. So speed, tapping down. One. Okay. Do the swing deep, and then you can jump for two. Okay. I can still see the kind of loose, something snapping there. Good. That's easy. Push through. Okay. Squeeze higher. Squeeze, right. And now the face forward. All right. Okay. That's a hard down posture, then you could run it. But then your body was a little too light and still behind. You're only doing this. That's why you're almost like hitting it and fall down. But that's what I mean by using your body fat. Okay? Okay, so that's Andrew.
Alright, and that was my black belt test, and stay tuned because I will be putting the video of the actual black belt ceremony up. I don't know when, probably at least a month and a half from now, but stay tuned.